This is exactly the point that I'm trying to make and exactly the worry from my standpoint. Earlier, we talked with Gordon Chang, who made the point that we are buying drones from China and using them in the military. Congressman, do you have any explanation as to why the United States buys drones from DJI, a Chinese-tied company, and we use those drones in the military? Really?
We should not. I mean, I have been very clear. One, I've asked the Pentagon to do a detailed report about our sourcing and where we're getting our materials. We don't track that fully in DOD, in the Department of Defense, but we should absolutely not be buying from China. The thing is that there are a lot of great Silicon Valley companies that are making ship drones, that are making undersea drones, that are making aerial drones, that are doing advanced AI. What we need to do is make sure that they are participating and we aren't just engaged in the legacy platforms. And I give Chairman Rogers credit. He's a Republican chair from Alabama of the Armed Services Committee. This week, he had a bipartisan hearing in Silicon Valley to signal that we need to make sure we have a modern national security strategy.
So, I mean, everything you're saying is incredibly realistic and reasonable. Congressman, I mean, given the fact that China covered up COVID after unleashing COVID on the world, is sending fentanyl into our country through the open border, is stealing our intellectual property decade after decade, is trying to surveil American citizens as well as putting surveillance in place at our military installations if they could. Why are we still buying drones used in the military from China?
Well, we absolutely shouldn't, and I will raise this on the Armed Services Committee to see if we can change that. But the other thing on fentanyl, look, there are 100,000, as you know, Maria, Americans who die every year because of fentanyl. I was shocked to learn in Louisville, apparently, at one of the UPS centers, fentanyl is being shipped in. It's one of the largest centers for drugs coming in. And what we need to do is get rid of this de minimis exception. If you're China, you can ship into the United States under $800 without going through our customs. Yeah. It's ridiculous, and they're using it to ship in fentanyl.
Do you believe that Kamala Harris understands these issues? Because the last time we checked in on this with this ticket, Tim Walz said that Communist China is great and everybody's the same and everybody shares, and he's never been treated as well as when he was in China. So I'm just wondering, I know you get it. You're saying exactly what most people would agree with, but does this ticket understand Communist China?
They do, and the important thing is the bipartisan committee in Congress understands it. And look, we have no concern with the Chinese people, but you got a Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping, who is a dictator, who actually is a dictator, who is engaged in a policy of expansionism in the Pacific, who is putting increased patrols over the Taiwan Strait, who is not controlling fentanyl, who is engaged in unfair trade practices that have cost us so many industries across the Midwest, and this should not be a partisan issue. We need to make sure we get our industrial base back, we have a strong military strategy, and that we tackle fentanyl, and that we're tough with Communist China.
That's right.
They are not, otherwise they're going to walk over us.
Thank you for your work on the Select Committee, sir.